Bonjour mes amis, hi guys, collection review for Guillaume who wrote to me in French at opticwr at gmail.com, and Guillaume didn't mess about. He went for three classic super usable watches and he's thinking of adding perhaps one more watch. First watch, he's got the Omega Speedmaster with the caliber 1861, the same as I have. He bought it in 2015 with a small inheritance from his grandpa. Now, Guillaume works in a white-collar firm, in an investing firm, but his grandpa was a farmer. He had 200 cows, milk cows, and he worked hard to provide for his family. And when Guillaume looks at his Speedmaster that he bought with the little inheritance there, he thinks about that hard work. And I think it's great to always remember how hard our parents, grandparents worked for us, and understand the value of money, even if you work in a white-collar environment, and try to pass that on to your kids as well, because maybe to them money will seem like it's coming easy, but it never does. Next, the perfect complement to a Speedmaster is of course a Seamaster 300M blue dial, bought in 2020, but not just as a token diver. No, it's actually being used for diving. Already 20 dives on Guillaume's wrist. He's got the bracelet and the rubber, alternating between one and the other. Okay, let's take a pause. Speedmaster, I love mine, and I think the 1861 is the one to get, the new one. You see, they went for coaxial and everything, and there's several problems. They had to change a bushing. There's other issues with it. I just saw a Bruce Williams video about pushers coming off and whatnot. Look, get the outgoing one for now. I think it's a solid, it's beautiful. I bought mine too like 4 years ago, and I never looked back. Just a wonderful, super usable, always classic watch that everyone has to have in their collection. But beyond that, I think it's a watch that's so endearing and beautiful. And the Seamaster, well, classic of classics. The current version has all the bells and whistles, and if it's working good as a diver, then that's all you need from a diver, yeah, doesn't it? Really a great complementary watch to the Speedmaster. Third watch, perfect complement again, is the Rolex Explorer 39mm, same as I have. Bought in 2019, about the same time I bought mine. Maybe I bought it a year earlier. Guillaume says it's top notch and asks if we do really need anything else. Of course you don't. The Explorer, man, is my go-to watch. Had it on the whole weekend, you know, going to see my kids at his football match. This Monday I come to the office and I'm thinking, what am I going to wear? I have a lunch, business lunch outside, but the weather is a bit dark, you know, it might rain. Should I put on my Patek dress watch? No, I just keep the Explorer. It's also been my lucky watch. Every time I have it on, everything seems to come together well for me. And the format is perfect. And what a compliment for a speedy chronograph, a Seamaster diver. Explorer, simple, no date. And you can wear that every day at the office. Of course, Guillaume, you can stop there. But Guillaume is thinking maybe add a dress watch. He's thinking of a white dial, because he doesn't have one in his collection right now. He'd like to have a date. He would prefer to buy it new rather than used. GMT complication would be nice to have. He prefer Arabic on the dial instead of Roman numerals. And he's considering a few and asking what other things I could recommend. First, he's looking at the Seiko King Seiko. The King Seiko, you might have seen it on my channel. First I saw it, I thought it was maybe too expensive, and then I got a good price on one, bought it, and I'm so happy I did. The lugs, the sculpted lugs are so unique. It wears like nothing else. And as you know, I have a Patek Philippe 5296. I have a Patek Philippe 5134. but let me tell you, I wear my King Seiko as much and with the same pleasure. And regarding the price, yes, it is expensive for a Seiko, but if you compare to the price of a Grand Seiko or a fine watch, inside you have a 6L35 movement, which is not at all the entry-level type of a Seiko movement that you could complain about. 6L35 is actually a very good movement. It's basically a drop-in for the ETA 2892. It runs at 4 Hz. It is accurate enough. And the watch itself is just stunning. They sweated all the little details. And now that I look back, I think it is punching way above its price. When you compare it to my Pateks, for example, of course, inside you don't have a movement caliber finished by hand. But for just wearing, enjoying to wear a dress watch, I think it's one of the best choices. Let's move on a bit. Guillaume is also looking at the JLC Master Control, date or calendar, thinking about 38 millimeters. Which they're always nice. The sector dial ones are becoming quite collectible. I think that the one that's going to tick all the boxes is the brand new model, the Master Control, meaning 1000 hours of testing, and they are very accurate and much more resistant than before. And the model I would go for is the Geographic. You get the very interesting world time complication in the way that JLC does it, with the little aperture at the bottom, and you have the date as well. And I think it also has the power reserve, yes, and even a bit of loom. So it is a dress, but not too dressy. There's sometimes a dress watch too simple. Some people love it, but me, I like a bit more excitement. I like a sector dial. I like to have extra complication. And that one has the complications, but it remains very, very clean, very beautiful. I've seen it in person. I think it's really great. The movement behind is nothing to sneeze at. Yes, it's mostly machine finished, but it's very beautiful. And the rotor in rose gold is very cool. So it's slightly sporty for a dress watch, but it's still a dress watch. I think that one ticks all the boxes. You have the Arabic numerals, you have the GMT complication. You can buy it new. It's available right now, and you have the date. I think that's the one I would go for you, Guillaume. And of course, it's a GLC. It's Master Control. I think it's great. Next one Guillaume was looking at was the Seamaster 1848 coaxial small seconds, which, as he points out, doesn't have the date. It's slightly massive compared, because it's coaxial movement compared to the old ones. It's nice, but I find it a bit too modern-y, a bit too massive to really grab that vintage feel. I think Seiko did it better with the King Seiko, and it's going to cost quite a bit less. I would go for the Seiko, to be honest. And then the grail of Guillaume would be the Patek 5396G. I agree, it's absolutely wonderful. Doesn't matter which one you go for, but I would go for the white dial. I think they look amazing. Or a 5146, annual calendar, really great as well. But you can also go for the 5296. It's reasonable. But the thing is, let's ask the big question: do you really need a dress watch? I have 2 or 3 dress watches. I don't wear them all that much for the reasons I mentioned, because of the weather, the humidity in Hong Kong, and you put them on and then you have to take them off to put back on your Rolex, which is so much more usable. So really, it's more like the cherry on top. It's a nice extra. It's not, you don't need to have one, but if you love watches, it's nice to add that to the collection. It's very different than everything else. Is it worth going for the grail? The thing is, you're going to put so much money into a watch that you're going to wear less than the other ones. So at one point you might think, oh, maybe I should have bought a car instead of buying that Patek. So I think when you're really comfortable with money and everything is sorted out with the house, the kids and all that, yeah, if you can afford it, get the Patek or longer. That's wonderful. For the pleasure of watchmaking, there's nothing like it. But at your stage, Guillaume, the GLC would be the perfect in between, because it would work well, I think, with your collection without costing a fortune. And the other one, the Seiko King Seiko, I really like it. The one more thing I wanted to suggest is, of course, the Grand Seiko, the dressier version of their GMT, like the SBGM 221, or I think the 235 is the other version. Very beautiful watch in person. You can get the cream dial, or the more light gray dial. And every time I see that watch, I really fall for it. I think it's the perfect format, and you get the GMT, you get the date. You don't get the loom, but you don't really want to wear your dress watch at night. At night, you wear your Explorer or your Seamaster, which have a great loom, and that one would be nice. My preference, well, it depends. If you want to spend around 3,000, the King Seiko, if you can find it still, is a great watch. I think maybe you're gonna have to go second hand by now. It's maybe hard to find a brand new one. I think you can find one that's unworn at least. If you double that price bracket, yeah, the GLC or and in between those prices, you have the Grand Seiko. I think you'd be very proud of your GLC, and I think it's one that would make sense. It's a great brand, and it would marry well with a collection with an Omega and a Rolex. Really, you can't go wrong. The only thing, if you buy the Seiko, you might think, maybe I went a bit cheap. Personally, it puts a big smile on my face. Those lugs and the way everything shines, reflects the lights. It's almost, I feel like I gamed the market. Like I gotta steal. Like I have so much pleasure for so little money. It's an incredible pleasure, and I really like the very soft leather strap that comes with it. I almost feel like, yeah, I got away with paying a lot less for so much pleasure. And sometimes I wonder, why do I have Pateks? If I have so much pleasure with this dress watch, do I need to have the fancy stuff? So yeah, it's gonna be up to you, Guillaume, to decide how much you want to spend. I think you can't go wrong with the King Seiko, can't go wrong with the GLC, can't go wrong. Yeah, you can go wrong with the Grand Seiko. I would really have to be at least 30% off the retail, because it's not going to keep its value at all. They always come with a different version of it, but it's a very, very beautiful, very cool watch. There you go, 3 suggestions. I think you really will have a perfect 4-piece collection if you had one of these. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Thanks Guillaume for your email. Really love your collection. I love your 3 pieces. I have a very similar core collection. Instead of the Seamaster, I have the Sea Dweller. Whichever way you go, you can't really go wrong with buying the super classic fundamentals. All the best, Guillaume, and thank you everyone. Give the video a like if you like this collection, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Bye bye.